Especially this week, it's the first game, so that's even more exciting. And we have a big opportunity against one of the bigger brands in college athletics. So we're all excited to go up there and compete. So
obviously the goal is make a bowl, contend for a league title. Is there something in your mind that you say would represent a successful season for football?
For us, I think you outlined it. I think progress is something that the coaching staff and our student athletes and every one of our sport programs is hoping to see. And I think for us to compete, having winning seasons and go into bowl games, that's what we want to do each and every year. So I would say that's a successful season. That's something we'd be very excited about.
Over the past few seasons, you guys have been playing some, like how you mentioned, some of the most historic franchises or programs in college football. Kind of talk about your past and current philosophy on trying to schedule some of these top tier teams like Ohio State and such like that.
I think we're historically here, and I know at a lot of programs that look like us, there have been programs that play multiple of those games in a given year. We've gotten to the scheduling philosophy where we're scheduled out at one per year. And I think that's a good number for us for the foreseeable future. So I think we'll continue with that one opportunity per year, which I think gives the student athletes a chance to play at the highest level and compete at the highest level in front of some of the most historic fan bases in college athletics. So we see it as a big opportunity.
Is it realistic to try to get these off the? I know it's twofold. I mean, it's a great experience for the athletes, but also it's kind of no program this size is necessary for the money you receive from these team programs. So, would the goal be at a program this level to get them completely off, or do you think it's whether you feel like you have a chance to win or not? It's a great opportunity that outweighs maybe trying to just get rid of these games.
I think that your scheduling philosophy evolves as your program grows. So I think you can see some of the programs with larger budgets than ours and their scheduling philosophy. If we were to get to a point where we could alter our scheduling philosophy to not, just play a road game without any sort of return, or I think we would want to alter our scheduling philosophy. But at this point, we're in a situation where I think that the one game per year that has been our scheduling philosophy is consistent with where we are as a program, and I think is a good philosophy for us.
How have you guys kind of taken the approach? Because obviously you'll play the Wisconsins, you'll play the Ohio States, then you still have to fill in the other out of conference schedule. So some teams will do it so where they play familiar opponents. So is there a certain approach that you take to schedule the rest of those out of conference games, or is it just kind of filling in with whoever has an opening for a certain week?
I would say it's a little bit of both. That's a great question. A little bit of both. We are, right now, obviously we have games that are scheduled out over years in advance, but we also have holes. And so you want to make sure those holes are filled. And sometimes as you're looking at filling holes, there's only certain teams that are available depending on how many years you are out. So I think, but there's definitely, we like the fact that we have UCF coming to our home stadium. We love the fact that we have USF the following year coming to our home stadium. I'm excited to think that we're going to have a sellout crowd here in a couple weeks. So if you can find a regional tie, that makes a lot of sense. But also there's times where it makes sense. We're going to play Ball State, as you know, in a few weeks, and I think that's a great game for us as well. So there's times where it maybe isn't necessarily a local team, a regional fit, but it's a programmatic fit.
How do you guys kind of take the approach to scheduling? Do you guys kind of schedule based on connections, or is it just kind of based on certain big programs? So obviously you schedule a few years out. So when you were scheduling with Ohio State, was it you knew someone in the program, or was it they're a big program and it'd be great for our players to be able to kind of just fit in there and take that process? Sure.
Great question again. That game was actually scheduled before I came to FAU, so I couldn't speak to that, but I do think every athletic director in the country is going to schedule within their program's best interest. I think you have the most opportunity the further you schedule out, which I think is why you see a lot of these games that are pretty scheduled out. And there is, we all subscribe to a website, and you can see at any given time what every program is scheduled for a given date in the country and what programs are open for that given date. And there's many different ways you can search, and you're always looking for what would make sense for FAU, but then also what would make sense for that other team, because there's no use in wasting your time and calling somebody when you know that it doesn't make sense for them to play you. So you try to find that perfect match and try to schedule out where it makes sense.
Are 6 home games the goal every year, or can this level, can you get to 7 like the Power 5? Well, most of the Power 5 guys, I think, play 7, try to go 7-5. I think you pretty much have 6, right? Going forward, are you looking to keep it at 6, or?
I would say that 6 fits our current scheduling philosophy, and I think 6 is a really good number for us. We wouldn't want to go back from 6, but ideally, we would love to get to the point where we could have 7 home games. It definitely helps you to grow your season ticket base. For instance, our suite holders that get the games for 6 games a year, now they'll have 7 games a year. Our loge box, our season ticket holders, our fan base. It just makes us provide a better value to our home fan base. So that would definitely be a positive as you can grow the program and get there.
You mentioned the UCF game. Right now, we're kind of playing the wait and see on Tropical Storm Dorian. Have you communicated with Danny at all about what might happen with that game if this does turn into a hurricane?
We have not. I've not had a conversation with UCF about that opportunity just yet. But we're all tracking it. So.
So I think do you guys ever have discussions with some of the bigger schools to maybe schedule a home and home, or is it right now is the focus obviously just trying to get those big game opponents, then once you can kind of make that money, then shift over to home and homes?
We're scheduling for years out, so we're definitely having discussions about. We've had home and home discussions. We've had all different types of discussions. We're very open, and there's definitely a lot of schools that are open to different creative ideas. So we're looking at a few different opportunities actually right now. And at any given time, you're probably looking at 3 or 4 different scheduling opportunities, and they don't always work out, and sometimes they do.
I think in 2021 you don't have a Power 5. I think Air Force is Air Force is the biggest name road game. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Will you try? Will that suffice? Is there room there to attempt to try to get one, or is that you think that's going to be one year where you won't have a Clemson or Ohio State or Wisconsin, Nebraska taking?
I would say at this point our schedule is still in flux for that year. There's still some flexibility.
Anybody else? All righty.
All right.